And if you want to see the results, you just have to stop making those mistakes. What's going on, everyone? Hayden here, coming back at you with a brand new video. And in this one, we're gonna be talking about 3, maybe 4 points. I might have a bonus one that I'm gonna add on at the back end of this. 3 to 4 main points on Facebook ads about things that people are constantly doing wrong. And I'm actually taking this standpoint where it's like cutting out the things that aren't working, you know? Yes, you can be like, all right, what's gonna work? Is it this? And you're trying to identify the pieces that are gonna work. But in my opinion, at least when it comes to Facebook ads, the main thing that I'm doing, what I really have just found good results in, is cutting out what doesn't work. So I'm constantly just trying to identify all the different variables that are not working, especially with the breakdown tab on my ads. You guys have already seen that when I'm talking about Facebook ads once they've been running. So I'm just big on doing that because then it slowly eliminates all the variables that aren't working, leading me to what will work. Okay, so with that being said, there's a couple different things I want to talk about inside of here. These are just small little things that people often overlook and just skip over when they're going through creating their ads. Facebook has a lot of moving parts. There's a ton of different things that go on with it, and I'm gonna keep making videos on it. So if you guys have a specific question, maybe some problems, drop it in the comments down below and I'd be more than happy to make a video on it. But other than that, be sure to drop a like on the video if you get any value at all, and be sure to join the family by hitting that nice looking subscribe button, and let's jump inside of my computer. Okay, I'm just inside of an old ad account right now, so I don't think it's gonna show anything that I shouldn't be showing. But the first thing I wanna talk about, this is before you even create the campaign. This is the very first step. What type of campaign do you wanna do? And the reason I wanted to touch on this instead of, well, we're also obviously gonna be going more in depth on the specific things while you're creating it, but this is the first one and one of the most important because I see so many people picking, you know, any of these different things, whichever one they're gonna run, they're doing that solely based off what someone else has told them. Like, they don't really know themselves why they're doing it. They're just, you know, they hear someone say, oh, do an engagement, so they're doing an engagement ad. That's it. They're like, oh, you know, conversions for add to cart, that's the best, so they do it. And aside from that, it's not even just, you know, that can be a bad thing, but they're never actually testing all the different ones. So let's say they're doing a conversion and someone says a purchase is the best thing. So they're doing a conversion for a purchase, but they never test initiate checkout, add to cart, or anything else. And maybe add to cart would have worked if they had tested it and purchase isn't working. So you just have to test. For me, I'm 99% of the time doing a conversion for either add to cart, initiate checkout, or a purchase. The only other thing I'll ever be doing, and I very rarely do this, is an engagement ad, and that is when I already know for a 100% fact that I have a viral video campaign. So if there's a viral video that I have for a product, like, let me give you an example. There's one that I've done, it was a dog toy. It was a dog, a video of a dog playing with the product. That was already kind of a viral video, and I knew that would get some sort of organic traction itself. That's the only situation where I would do an engagement. Other than that, it's always a conversion for me. That's just what works the best. You can go ahead and test other stuff. You have to figure out what works the best for you. For me, conversion is the best thing. Let's just go through. I'm gonna show you a few things while we're setting this up. That's what works the best for me. So aside from that, you're gonna select your conversion event. Again, mine is add to cart, initiate checkout, or a purchase. That's just what works the best for me. As of right now, add to cart and purchase are working the best for me. It's interesting because 2 months ago, initiate checkout was working the best. So I would not have known that had I not been testing all of them. So it really comes down to that. You're just gonna go ahead and hit this box, and from there you're gonna be able to see all these different ones. Let's just go with, you know, you can see all these different ones. We're just gonna go ahead and do an add to cart. You can select whatever you want, and you can make multiple different ad sets inside of the campaign, testing all those different variables. That's huge. Just know what you're doing and know why you're doing it, because a lot of people, like I said, they're just doing this without really fully understanding why they're doing it. And you know, hey, add to cart might not work that well for something, but if you're only testing add to cart, well, maybe you didn't test a purchase, and a purchase would have worked better. So you gotta test to actually know what's gonna work for you. Aside from that, the next biggest thing I'm seeing people mess up on, and it's not even that they mess up on this, because I don't like to admit that I messed up, but I didn't even know this existed. I did not logically think about it. I did not know about this button. Look at this right here, under location. Everyone in this location. I never even thought about clicking on this, but when you do, you get all these 4 options. You want to do people who live in this location. And again, I didn't know about this. I hate to admit that I was wrong or whatever, but sometimes you have to. You have to do people who live in this location, because let's just say theoretically you're targeting the US. Well, there could be 5 million people who are traveling inside of the US from a completely different country who don't even speak English. Okay, so it's like, you don't want to just target everyone in this location, because just because they're in the US doesn't mean they're qualified to buy in any way. It doesn't mean that. So people who live in this location, that's huge. That's definitely something you want to make sure you select. Again, just a small little thing that so many people overlooked. For the first 4 to 5 months where I was solely doing Facebook ads for my first Shopify store, didn't even know that existed. That's definitely one of the many, many reasons that I failed. Now, aside from that, every single thing to do with interests is, in my opinion, one of the most important things. Most people, yeah, they do a little bit of product research, and then they understand, slightly about their audience. Maybe they can do a little bit of, research and background on which interest they should be selecting. That's great. There's so many different little variables like this, and using, the conversion campaign for add cart, initiate, checkout, or a purchase. So many little things. But when it comes to the interest, I see so many people messing up on this. My biggest thing, and this is just for what I do, I unchecked expand interest every single time. Now, the only reason and the only situation you would want to leave this checked is if you were basically trying to find as many interests as you can. If you're going through here and you're stacking up hundreds, 10, 20, 50, 100 different interests inside of there, then you would want to leave this checked. Because at that point, you're trying to identify as many as possible and you're trying to stack it up. That's what this box is gonna do for you. That's what it's gonna do for you. But there's so many different people, I see this all the time, especially inside the Facebook group, people who are basically trying to do flex targeting, but they leave this checked. Like what? Doesn't that defeat the whole entire purpose of doing flex targeting? And for those of you who don't even know what flex targeting is, by the way, that's where you're only selecting one interest. You have one interest per ad set. You're basically segmenting it by each interest to see which one is really bringing you the results. So if you're doing one interest, but then you also have this box checked, it's basically adding more interest so you don't really know where it came from. So that kind of defeats the purpose of doing flex targeting. So for me and just what I do, I always leave that unchecked and it's automatically checked, which is, in my opinion, that's just kind of how they get you. That, in my opinion, is one of Facebook's ways to just drain your wallet, because so many people don't even know what it is, they overlook it. It's the same thing as this. People who live in this location versus everyone in this location. Facebook knows that you're probably not gonna know what that is, and they know that if they leave that automatically checked in their favor, like where it's not exactly in your best interest, you're probably gonna overlook it. A lot of people will, and they're gonna make more money. That's just, in my opinion, what it is. Me personally, I don't ever go ahead and stack 20, 30, 50 different interests, so that way I don't need to ever leave this checked. I always uncheck that. Again, you might be different with what you're doing. Maybe your strategy from wherever you're learning from, whatever thing you're executing upon, might involve leaving that checked. That's great, but for the majority of people, I don't see that being the case. Now, aside from that, I am gonna give you guys one little bonus here. This is something simple in my opinion. This is just how I set up every single ad, but I see a lot of people who don't understand exactly where to put the placements. And for me, I use the breakdown tab to really break down all of my ad sets once the campaigns have been running for a day or two. And so I'm trying to see, and I always go a little bit broad. You guys already know that if you've seen the other Facebook videos, but I'm always trying to see where are the results coming from. So for me, I leave Facebook checked, I leave Instagram, I get rid of Audience Network and Messenger. However, inside of Facebook, they see all these different ones checked. I uncheck this and this. The only thing I'm really looking for is to use Instagram and Facebook on the feeds. For me, that's just what I do, and then based on that, I see what's working best. Facebook or Instagram, and is that on mobile or desktop? So you'll be able to do that on the back end once you're breaking down the campaign, but just know that that's probably gonna be your best bet when it comes to actually adding in the placements. You wanna make sure you get rid of these two. I've just never seen results with it, so I don't mess with it at all. I do Facebook and Instagram. Those are just the two main platforms I'm the most comfortable with, and being able to break it down on the back end, it makes it very simple. Not easy, but simple. So that's just a couple of little things when it comes to Facebook. Nothing too crazy. There's just a lot of little components that go into it. And again, I can show you all this different stuff, and if you go do all of what I just showed you in your campaign, it might not work. It really has no guarantee, because Facebook has so many different things and there's so many different variables that go into it, but those are a few different things that you need to test. If you're trying to do Facebook, I know a lot of you guys, you're already crushing it with Instagram. $100 a day, $300 a day. There's a few people in the group doing $1,000 a day, and they're trying to transition into Facebook, but they haven't had success yet. And there's a few different things that go into that. Ideally, you can have a lookalike audience to build off of. That's gonna make Facebook a lot easier, but just understanding all those little components, that's only in your advantage. You wanna learn everything you can about Facebook. I hope that that helped. Again, if you guys have any questions or specific problems that you're running into with Facebook, drop it in the comments down below. I'd be more than happy to make a video if it's gonna bring value to everyone on the channel. Other than that, you guys, I don't know if you could tell, I've been sick the last few days, so not really doing too much on the end of work, just sleeping for like 18 hours a day. But got to keep pumping out this content for you. So I'm still going to be active inside of the Facebook group if you guys haven't joined that yet for whatever reason. We're about to be at 30,000 members. absolutely insane. I think that puts us at like one of the top Facebook groups for Shopify. I know obviously there's other ones, but like in the amount of time that we've grown that, it's been like 3 months. In like 3 months to go from 0 to 28,000 or whatever we're at right now. Absolutely insane. I appreciate that. There's so many different people throwing in value inside of the group. Videos, screenshots, question, whatever. So if you guys haven't jumped in there for whatever reason, I'm gonna leave that linked in the description. And if you guys did enjoy the video, I'd appreciate it if you drop a like down below. And of course, join the family by hitting that nice looking subscribe button. And I post every single day. So I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow in the next one. Peace.